I want to invite you to our advance, Pastor's Advance, that we have every year right before the Voice of the Apostles Conference. It's expanded this year, and we've really made an effort to do something I think will be one of the greatest opportunities you could have as a pastor or leader. It's called Signs, Wonders, and Church Growth. And for some of you may not be aware of that title, but it's actually, we got permission from the Wimber family to use the title, because that was a title that John Wimber used a lot, is dealing with the power of signs and wonders, but also the emphasis upon it should lead to church growth. And so we have brought some leaders coming in, and besides myself and Bill Johnson, we're bringing 3 leaders from Brazil. A.B. Hubers is an American, is born in Brazil, and he has a church that he started several years ago in Santarém. Actually, his brother started, who was killed in his work in the mission field there, Luke Hubers. But A.B.'s continued that work, and in Santarém right now, in this small city in northern Brazil, they have 55,000 people every week in their cell groups that makes up this one church. And then he went out and started a church in Fortaleza, and it's grown in 3 years to several thousand people, and now he's getting ready to go to São Paulo and start another church. And he's going to be speaking about the role between worship and power, signs and wonders, and also the cell system that they use, which is not the G12. A.B. is, he only has one speaker a year come in at his church, and I get to come in about every other year because he's so committed to the signs and wonders that we would bring, and also the other guy taught on worship and the importance of worship, and so that'd kind of be a theme for him. Then besides A.B., we're going to have Pastor Aloysio Silva as his name, and he has a church that I met him about 10 years ago, and he had a church and a movement that he was starting. He's actually over a movement, and there are hundreds of churches in the movement, and the mother church is, when I went there, it was 3 years old and had 3,000 people. Now it's about 11 years old, and it has 30-some thousand people in one church in the city of Goiânia, one staff, and they meet in 4 locations. And he'll be talking about their church's growth and the importance of signs and wonders, the importance of good pastoring. And it'll be, this is going to be a really good thing for pastors to get models. Now, Aloysio's model of doing cell group is different from A.B. Hubers, but they both have this in common. They're committed to see signs and wonders. And I've worked with this church many times, and it's one of the greatest churches, and he's one of the strongest leaders in the whole nation of Brazil. Now, I chose to bring these 3 leaders up, the one I'm telling you about yet, but I chose to bring these 3 leaders because Brazil is more in revival than any country of the world, according to C. Peter Wagner. And I wanted you to see, not necessarily the largest churches, because I've been in churches that are much larger than 30,000, some is even double that. But I'm trying to bring men that I think have the spirit, have the integrity, have the compassion, have the love for the people, and they're not just going to be necessarily abusing the people or just trying to grow the church for maybe not always the best reason. These guys love their people, and they're good pastors, and I've selected them out of 11 years of working in Brazil. Now, the third one is one of my favorite pastors whom I've developed a really strong friendship with, and his name is João Staub in Guarulhos, which is a suburb of São Paulo. His church, I think now, somewhere between 8 and 13,000. And I know he started several other churches out of it and that relate to him. And Jean, he has an emphasis upon church should be family. And one of the things that he does is unusual or unique, is that they allow the cell groups to keep the offering they take in the cell groups to use for what they need it for in the community, amongst their people that's there. And he's one of the most loving men, one of the sharpest pastors I've met, and has a real love for the people. So we're trying to bring in, besides myself and Bill, these 3 guys, João Staub from Guarulhos, A.B. Hubers from, now he's in Fortaleza, but from the church he'll be talking about is Santarém, and then Aloysio Silva, Aloysio Antonio Silva from Goiânia. And it's going to be a very powerful meeting. Going to be things that you can gain about just pastoring, leadership, how to grow church, how to grow community, how to do it through the power of the Spirit. But you can have the power of the Spirit and have miracles taking place, but if you don't know how to conserve the harvest, if you don't know how to gather and assimilate the people, you may not necessarily grow. These are three of the best pastors in the whole nation of Brazil in revival. So it's Signs, Wonders, and Church Growth revisited in the light of the Brazilian revival. You want to be there. I want you to be there. I encourage you to come, and we're putting thousands of dollars in bringing these guys up here for you. So make an effort to come. You don't have to come to the whole Voice of the Apostles conference if you don't want to, but come to the advance. It'll start on Monday and end on Wednesday afternoon. We'd love to have you there, and I want to encourage you, for all of you that's in our network, and for those of you that aren't in our network but you come to our Voice of the Apostles conference, would you invite, try to recruit a pastor to come with you to this event? I want to honor these men. As they honor me in Brazil, I want to honor them in the United States. And it would be embarrassing to me if we didn't have a good crowd of pastors and leaders for them to speak to at this advance Monday, Tuesday, and half the day Wednesday. So help me out here and help us to honor these men who have honored me, and let us learn together about revival, about church growth, and signs and wonders.